Leviticus, chapter 1. And the Lord called Moses again and spoke to him out of the tabernacle of witness, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, If any man of you shall bring gifts to the Lord, you shall bring your gifts of the cattle and of the oxen and of the sheep. If his gift be a whole burnt offering, he shall bring an unblemished male of the herd to the door of the tabernacle of witness. He shall bring it as acceptable before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering as a thing acceptable for him, to make atonement for him. And they shall kill the calf before the Lord. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall bring the blood. And they shall pour the blood round about on the altar, which is at the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And having flayed the whole burnt offering, they shall divide it by its limbs. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire on the altar, and shall pile wood on the fire. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall pile up the divided parts, and the head, and the fat on the wood on the fire, the wood which is on the altar. And the entrails and the feet they shall wash in water, and the priest shall put all on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if his gift be of the sheep to the Lord, or of the lambs, or of the kids for whole burnt offerings, he shall bring it a male without blemish, and he shall lay his hand on its head. And they shall kill it by the side of the altar, toward the north before the Lord. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall pour its blood on the altar round about. And they shall divide it by its limbs, and its head and its fat. And the priest shall pile them up on the wood which is on the fire, on the altar. And they shall wash the entrails and the feet with water. And the priest shall bring all the parts and put them on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if he bring his gift, a burnt offering to the Lord, of birds, then shall he bring his gift of doves or pigeons. And the priest shall bring it to the altar, and shall wring off its head. And the priest shall put it on the altar, and shall wring out the blood at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away the crop with the feathers, and shall cast it forth by the altar toward the east to the place of the ashes. And he shall break it off from the wings, and shall not separate it. And the priest shall put it on the altar on the wood which is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a sweet-smelling savor to the Lord. Chapter 2. And if a soul bring a gift, a sacrifice to the Lord, his gift shall be fine flour. And he shall pour oil upon it, and shall put frankincense on it. It is a sacrifice, and he shall bring it to the priests the sons of Aaron. And having taken from it a handful of the fine flour with the oil, and all its frankincense, then the priest shall put the memorial of it on the altar. It is a sacrifice, an odor of sweet savor to the Lord. And the remainder of the sacrifice shall be for Aaron and his sons, a most holy portion from the sacrifices of the Lord. And if he bring as a gift a sacrifice baked from the oven, a gift to the Lord of fine flour, he shall bring unleavened bread kneaded with oil, and unleavened cakes anointed with oil. And if your gift be a sacrifice from a pan, it is fine flour mingled with oil, unleavened offerings. And you shall break them into fragments and pour oil upon them. It is a sacrifice to the Lord. And if your gift be a sacrifice from the hearth, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. And he shall offer the sacrifice which he shall make of these to the Lord, and shall bring it to the priest. And the priest shall approach the altar, and shall take away from the sacrifice a memorial of it, and the priest shall place it on the altar, a burnt offering, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And that which is left of the sacrifice shall be for Aaron and his sons, most holy from the burnt offerings of the Lord. You shall not leaven any sacrifice which you shall bring to the Lord. For as to any leaven, or any honey, you shall not bring of it to offer a gift to the Lord. You shall bring them in the way of fruits to the Lord, but they shall not be offered on the altar for a sweet-smelling savor to the Lord. And every gift of your sacrifice shall be seasoned with salt. Omit not the salt of the covenant of the Lord from your sacrifices. On every gift of yours you shall offer salt to the Lord your God. And if you would offer a sacrifice of first fruits to the Lord, it shall be new grains ground and roasted for the Lord. So shall you bring the sacrifice of the first fruits, and you shall pour oil upon it, and shall put frankincense on it. It is a sacrifice, and the priest shall offer the memorial of it taken from the grains with the oil, and all its frankincense. It is a burnt offering to the Lord. Chapter 3. And if his gift to the Lord be a peace offering, if he should bring it of the oxen, whether it be male or whether it be female, he shall bring it unblemished before the Lord. And he shall lay his hands on the head of the gift, and shall kill it before the Lord, by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the priests the sons of Aaron shall pour the blood on the altar of burnt offerings round about. And they shall bring of the peace offering a burnt sacrifice to the Lord, the fat covering the belly, and all the fat on the belly. and the 2 kidneys and the fat that is upon them. He shall take away that which is on the thighs, and the caul above the liver together with the kidneys. And the priests the sons of Aaron shall offer them on the altar on the burnt offering, on the wood which is on the fire upon the altar. It is a burnt offering, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if his gift be of the sheep, a peace offering to the Lord, male or female, he shall bring it unblemished. If he bring a lamb for his gift, he shall bring it before the Lord. And he shall lay his hands on the head of his offering, and shall kill it by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the priests the sons of Aaron shall pour out the blood on the altar round about. And he shall bring of the peace offering a burnt sacrifice to the Lord. The fat and the hinder part unblemished he shall take away with the loins. And having taken away all the fat that covers the belly, and all the fat that is on the belly, and both the kidneys and the fat that is upon them, and that which is on the thighs, and the caul which is on the liver with the kidneys, the priest shall offer these on the altar. It is a sacrifice of sweet savor, a burnt offering to the Lord. And if his offering be of the goats, then shall he bring it before the Lord. And he shall lay his hands on its head, and they shall kill it before the Lord by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the priests the sons of Aaron shall pour out the blood on the altar round about. And he shall offer of it a burnt offering to the Lord, even the fat that covers the belly, and all the fat that is on the belly, and both the kidneys, and all the fat that is upon them, that which is upon the thighs, and the caul of the liver with the kidneys, shall he take away. And the priest shall offer it upon the altar. It is a burnt offering, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. All the fat belongs to the Lord. It is a perpetual statute throughout your generations, in all your habitations. You shall eat no fat and no blood. Chapter 4. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin unwillingly before the Lord, in any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which he ought not to do, and shall do some of them, if the anointed priest sin so as to cause the people to sin, then shall he bring for his sin, which he has sinned, an unblemished calf of the herd to the Lord for his sin. And he shall bring the calf to the door of the tabernacle of witness before the Lord. And he shall put his hand on the head of the calf before the Lord, and shall kill the calf in the presence of the Lord. And the anointed priest who has been consecrated, having received of the blood of the calf, shall then bring it into the tabernacle of witness. And the priest shall dip his finger into the blood, and sprinkle of the blood 7 times before the Lord, over against the holy veil. And the priest shall put of the blood of the calf on the horns of the altar of the compound incense which is before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of witness. And all the blood of the calf shall he pour out by the foot of the altar of whole burnt offerings, which is by the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And all the fat of the calf of the sin offering shall he take off from it, the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is on the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is on the thighs, and the caul that is on the liver with the kidneys. Them shall he take away, as he takes it away from the calf of the sacrifice of peace offering. So shall the priest offer it on the altar of burnt offering. And they shall take the skin of the calf, and all his flesh with the head and the extremities and the belly and the dung. And they shall carry out the whole calf out of the camp into a clean place, where they pour out the ashes, and they shall consume it there on wood with fire. It shall be burnt on the ashes poured out. And if the whole congregation of Israel trespass ignorantly, and a thing should escape the notice of the congregation, and they should do one thing forbidden of any of the commands of the Lord, which ought not to be done, and should transgress, and the sin wherein they have sinned should become known to them, then shall the congregation bring an unblemished calf of the herd for a sin offering, and they shall bring it to the doors of the tabernacle of witness. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the calf before the Lord, and they shall kill the calf before the Lord. And the anointed priest shall bring in of the blood of the calf into the tabernacle of witness. And the priest shall dip his finger into some of the blood of the calf, and shall sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord, in front of the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of the incense of composition, which is before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of witness. And he shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar of whole burnt offerings, which is by the door of the tabernacle of witness. And he shall take away all the fat from it, and shall offer it up on the altar. And he shall do to the calf as he did to the calf of the sin offering, so shall it be done. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and the trespass shall be forgiven them. And they shall carry forth the calf whole without the camp, and they shall burn the calf as they burnt the former calf. It is the sin offering of the congregation. And if a ruler sin, and break one of all the commands of the Lord his God, doing the thing which ought not to be done, unwillingly, and shall sin and trespass, and his trespass wherein he has sinned be known to him. Then shall he offer for his gift a kid of the goats, a male without blemish, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the kid, and they shall kill it in the place where they kill the victims for whole burnt offerings before the Lord. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall put some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger on the horns of the altar of whole burnt offering. And he shall pour out all its blood by the bottom of the altar of whole burnt offerings. And he shall offer up all his fat on the altar, as the fat of the sacrifice of peace offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. And if a soul of the people of the land should sin unwillingly, in doing a thing contrary to any of the commandments of the Lord, which ought not to be done, and shall transgress, and his sin should be known to him, wherein he has sinned, then shall he bring a kid of the goats, a female without blemish shall he bring for his sin which he has sinned, and he shall lay his hand on the head of his sin offering. And they shall kill the kid of the sin offering in the place where they kill the victims for whole burnt offerings. And the priest shall take of its blood with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of whole burnt offerings. And all its blood he shall pour forth by the foot of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat, as the fat is taken away from the sacrifice of peace offering. And the priest shall offer it on the altar for a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and his sin shall be forgiven him. And if he should offer a lamb for his sin offering, he shall offer it a female without blemish. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offerings. And they shall kill it in the place where they kill the victims for whole burnt offerings. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and shall put it on the horns of the altar of whole burnt offerings. And he shall pour out all its blood by the bottom of the altar of whole burnt offering. And he shall take away all his fat, as the fat of the lamb of the sacrifice of peace offering is taken away. And the priest shall put it on the altar for a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for him for the sin which he sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. Chapter 5. And if a soul sin, and hear the voice of swearing, and he is a witness or has seen or been conscious, if he do not report it, he shall bear his iniquity. That soul which shall touch any unclean thing, or carcase, or that which is unclean being taken of beasts, or the dead bodies of abominable reptiles which are unclean, or carcasses of unclean cattle, or should touch the uncleanness of a man, or whatever kind, which he may touch and be defiled by, and it should have escaped him, but afterwards he should know, then he shall have transgressed. That unrighteous soul, which determines with his lips to do evil or to do good according to whatever a man may determine with an oath, and it shall have escaped his notice, and he shall afterwards know it, and so he should sin in some one of these things. Then shall he declare his sin in the things wherein he has sinned by that sin. And he shall bring for his transgressions against the Lord, for his sin which he has sinned, a ewe lamb of the flock, or a kid of the goats, for his sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him for his sin which he has sinned, and his sin shall be forgiven him. And if he can afford a sheep, he shall bring for his sin which he has sinned 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the Lord, one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And he shall bring them to the priest. And the priest shall bring the sin offering first. And the priest shall pinch off the head from the neck, and shall not divide the body. And he shall sprinkle of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar. But the rest of the blood he shall drop at the foot of the altar, for it is a sin offering. And he shall make the second a whole burnt offering, as it is fit. And the priest shall make atonement for his sin which he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. And if he can afford a pair of turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, then shall he bring as his gift for his sin the 10th part of an ephah of fine flour for a sin offering. He shall not pour oil upon it, nor shall he put frankincense upon it, because it is a sin offering. And he shall bring it to the priest. And the priest, having taken a handful of it, shall lay the memorial of it on the altar of whole burnt offerings to the Lord. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him for his sin, which he has sinned in one of these things, and it shall be forgiven him. And that which is left shall be the priest's, as an offering of fine flour. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, The soul which shall be really unconscious, and shall sin unwillingly in any of the holy things of the Lord, shall even bring to the Lord for his transgression a ram of the flock without blemish, valued according to shekels of silver according to the shekel of the sanctuary, for his transgression wherein he transgressed. And he shall make compensation for that wherein he has sinned in the holy things. And he shall add the 5th part to it, and give it to the priest. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of transgression, and his sin shall be forgiven him. And the soul which shall sin, and do one thing against any of the commandments of the Lord, which it is not right to do, and has not known it, and shall have transgressed, and shall have contracted guilt, he shall even bring a ram without blemish from the flock, valued at a price of silver for his transgression to the priest. And the priest shall make atonement for his trespass of ignorance, wherein he ignorantly trespassed, and he knew it not. And it shall be forgiven him, for he has surely been guilty of transgression before the Lord. Chapter 6. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, The soul which shall have sinned, and willfully overlooked the commandments of the Lord, and shall have dealt falsely in the affairs of his neighbor in the matter of a deposit, or concerning fellowship, or concerning plunder, or has in anything wronged his neighbor, or has found that which was lost, and shall have lied concerning it, and shall have sworn unjustly concerning any one of all the things, whatever a man may do, so as to sin hereby. It shall come to pass, whenever he shall have sinned and transgressed, that he shall restore the plunder which he has seized, or redress the injury which he has committed, or restore the deposit which was entrusted to him, or the lost article which he has found of any kind, about which he swore unjustly, he shall even restore it in full. And he shall add to it a fifth part besides. He shall restore it to him whose it is in the day in which he happens to be convicted. And he shall bring to the Lord for his trespass a ram of the flock, without blemish, of value to the amount of the thing in which he trespassed. And the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. And he shall be forgiven for any one of all the things which he did and trespassed in it. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Charge Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the law of whole burnt offering. This is the whole burnt offering in its burning on the altar all the night till the morning. And the fire of the altar shall burn on it, it shall not be put out. And the priest shall put on the linen tunic, and he shall put the linen drawers on his body, and shall take away that which has been thoroughly burnt, which the fire shall have consumed, even the whole burnt offering from the altar, and he shall put it near the altar. And he shall put off his robe, and put on another robe, and he shall take forth the offering that has been burnt without the camp into a clean place. And the fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it, and shall not be extinguished. And the priest shall burn on it wood every morning, and shall heap on it the whole burnt offering, and shall lay on it the fat of the peace offering. And the fire shall always burn on the altar, it shall not be extinguished. This is the law of the sacrifice, which the sons of Aaron shall bring near before the Lord, before the altar. And he shall take from it a handful of the fine flour of the sacrifice with its oil, and with all its frankincense, which are upon the sacrifice. And he shall offer up on the altar a burnt offering as a sweet-smelling savor, a memorial of it to the Lord. And Aaron and his sons shall eat that which is left of it. It shall be eaten without leaven in a holy place. They shall eat it in the court of the tabernacle of witness. It shall not be baked with leaven. I have given it as a portion to them of the burnt offerings of the Lord. It is most holy, as the offering for sin and as the offering for trespass. Every male of the priests shall eat it. It is a perpetual ordinance throughout your generations of the burnt offerings of the Lord. Whoever shall touch them shall be hallowed. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, This is the gift of Aaron and of his sons, which they shall offer to the Lord in the day in which you shall anoint him. The tenth of an ephah of fine flour for a sacrifice continually, the half of it in the morning, and the half of it in the evening. It shall be made with oil in a frying pan. He shall offer it kneaded and in rolls, an offering of fragments, an offering of a sweet savor to the Lord. The anointed priest who is in his place, one of his sons, shall offer it. It is a perpetual statute, it shall all be consumed. And every sacrifice of a priest shall be thoroughly burnt, and shall not be eaten. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering. In the place where they kill the whole burnt offering, they shall kill the sin offerings before the Lord. They are most holy. The priest that offers it shall eat it. In a holy place it shall be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle of witness. Every one that touches the flesh of it shall be holy. And on whoever's garment any of its blood shall have been sprinkled, whoever shall have it sprinkled shall be washed in the holy place. And the earthen vessel, in whichever it shall have been sodden, shall be broken. And if it shall have been sodden in a brazen vessel, he shall scour it and wash it with water. Every male among the priests shall eat it. It is most holy to the Lord. And no offerings for sin, of whose blood there shall be brought any into the tabernacle of witness to make atonement in the holy place, shall be eaten. They shall be burned with fire. And this is the law of the ram for the trespass offering. It is most holy. In the place where they kill the whole burnt offering, they shall kill the ram of the trespass offering before the Lord, and he shall pour out the blood at the bottom of the altar round about. And he shall offer all the fat from it, and the loins, and all the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, that which is upon the thighs, and the caul upon the liver with the kidney. He shall take them away. And the priest shall offer them on the altar a burnt offering to the Lord. It is for trespass. Every male of the priest shall eat them. In the holy place they shall eat them. They are most holy. As the sin offering, so also is the trespass offering. There is one law of them. The priest who shall make atonement with it, his it shall be. And as for the priest who offers a man's whole burnt offering, the skin of the whole burnt offering which he offers shall be his, and every sacrifice which shall be prepared in the oven, and every one which shall be prepared on the hearth, or on a frying pan, it is the property of the priest that offers it. It shall be his. And every sacrifice made up with oil, or not made up with oil, shall belong to the sons of Aaron, an equal portion to each. Chapter 7. This is the law of the sacrifice of peace offering, which they shall bring to the Lord. If a man should offer it for praise, then shall he bring, for the sacrifice of praise, loaves of fine flour made up with oil, and unleavened cakes anointed with oil, and fine flour kneaded with oil. With leavened bread he shall offer his gifts, with the peace offering of praise. And he shall bring one of all his gifts, a separate offering to the Lord. It shall belong to the priest who pours forth the blood of the peace offering. And the flesh of the sacrifice of the peace offering of praise shall be his, and it shall be eaten in the day in which it is offered. They shall not leave of it till the morning. And if it be a vow, or he offer his gift of his own will, on whatever day he shall offer his sacrifice, it shall be eaten, and on the morrow. And that which is left of the flesh of the sacrifice till the 3rd day shall be consumed with fire. And if he do at all eat of the flesh on the 3rd day, it shall not be accepted for him that offers. It shall not be reckoned to him, it is pollution. And whatever soul shall eat of it shall bear his iniquity. And whatever flesh shall have touched any unclean thing, it shall not be eaten, it shall be consumed with fire. Every one that is clean shall eat the flesh. And whatever soul shall eat of the flesh of the sacrifice of the peace offering which is the Lord's, and his uncleanness be upon him, that soul shall perish from his people. And whatever soul shall touch any unclean thing, either of the uncleanness of a man, or of unclean quadrupeds, or any unclean abominable thing, and shall eat of the flesh of the sacrifice of the peace offering, which is the Lord's, that soul shall perish from his people. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, You shall eat no fat of oxen or sheep or goats, and the fat of such animals as have died of themselves, or have been seized of beasts, may be employed for any work, but it shall not be eaten for food. Every one that eats fat off the beasts, from which he will bring a burnt offering to the Lord, that soul shall perish from his people. You shall eat no blood in all your habitations, either of beasts or of birds. Every soul that shall eat blood, that soul shall perish from his people. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, You shall also speak to the children of Israel, saying, He that offers a sacrifice of peace offering shall bring his gift to the Lord also from the sacrifice of peace offering. His hands shall bring the burnt offerings to the Lord. The fat which is on the breast and the lobe of the liver, he shall bring them, so as to set them for a gift before the Lord. And the priest shall offer the fat upon the altar. And the breast shall be Aaron's and his sons, and you shall give the right shoulder for a choice piece to the priest of your sacrifices of peace offering, he that offers the blood of the peace offering. And the fat of the sons of Aaron, his shall be the right shoulder for a portion. For I have taken the wave breast and shoulder of separation from the children of Israel from the sacrifices of your peace offerings, and I have given them to Aaron the priest and his sons, a perpetual ordinance due from the children of Israel. This is the anointing of Aaron, and the anointing of his sons, their portion of the burnt offerings of the Lord, in the day in which he brought them forward to minister as priests to the Lord, as the Lord commanded to give to them in the day in which he anointed them of the sons of Israel, a perpetual statute through their generations. This is the law of the whole burnt offerings, and of sacrifice, and of sin offering, and of offering for transgression, and of the sacrifice of consecration, and of the sacrifice of peace offering, as the Lord commanded Moses in the Mount Sinai, in the day in which he commanded the children of Israel to offer their gifts before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. Chapter 8. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take Aaron and his sons, and his robes and the anointing oil, and the calf for the sin offering, and the 2 rams, and the basket of unleavened bread, and assemble the whole congregation at the door of the tabernacle of witness. And Moses did as the Lord appointed him. And he assembled the congregation at the door of the tabernacle of witness. And Moses said to the congregation, "This is the thing which the Lord has commanded you to do." And Moses brought near Aaron and his sons, and washed them with water, and put on him the coat, and girded him with the girdle, and clothed him with the tunic, and put on him the ephod, and girded him with a girdle according to the make of the ephod, and clasped him closely with it, and put upon it the oracle, and put upon the oracle the manifestation and the truth. And he put the mitre on his head, and put upon the mitre in front the golden plate, the most holy thing, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Moses took of the anointing oil, and sprinkled of it 7 times on the altar, and anointed the altar, and hallowed it, and all things on it, and the laver, and its foot, and sanctified them, and anointed the tabernacle and all its furniture, and hallowed it. And Moses poured of the anointing oil on the head of Aaron, and he anointed him and sanctified him. And Moses brought the sons of Aaron near, and put on them coats, and girded them with girdles, and put on them bonnets, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Moses brought near the calf for the sin offering. And Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the calf of the sin offering, and he killed it. And Moses took of the blood, and put it on the horns of the altar round about with his finger. And he purified the altar, and poured out the blood at the bottom of the altar, and sanctified it, to make atonement upon it. And Moses took all the fat that was upon the inwards, and the lobe on the liver, and both the kidneys, and the fat that was upon them, and Moses offered them on the altar. But the calf, and his hide, and his flesh, and his dung, he burnt with fire without the camp, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Moses brought near the ram for a whole burnt offering. And Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram. And Moses killed the ram. And Moses poured the blood on the altar round about, and he divided the ram by its limbs. And Moses offered the head, and the limbs, and the fat. And he washed the belly and the feet with water. And Moses offered up the whole ram on the altar. It is a whole burnt offering for a sweet-smelling savor. It is a burnt offering to the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Moses brought the 2nd ram, the ram of consecration. And Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram, and he killed him. And Moses took of his blood, and put it upon the tip of Aaron's right ear, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot. And Moses brought near the sons of Aaron. And Moses put of the blood on the tips of their right ears, and on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the great toes of their right feet. And Moses poured out the blood on the altar round about. And he took the fat, and the rump, and the fat on the belly, and the lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and the right shoulder. And from the basket of consecration, which was before the Lord, he also took 1 unleavened loaf, and 1 loaf made with oil, and 1 cake, and put them upon the fat, and the right shoulder, and put them all on the hands of Aaron, and upon the hands of his sons, and offered them up for a wave offering before the Lord. And Moses took them at their hands, and Moses offered them on the altar, on the whole burnt offering of consecration, which is a smell of sweet savor. It is a burnt offering to the Lord. And Moses took the breast, and separated it for a heave offering before the Lord from the ram of consecration. And it became Moses' portion, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Moses took of the anointing oil, and of the blood that was on the altar, and sprinkled it on Aaron, and on his garments, and his sons, and the garments of his sons with him. And he sanctified Aaron and his garments, and his sons, and the garments of his sons with him. And Moses said to Aaron and to his sons, "Boil the flesh in the tent of the tabernacle of witness in the holy place. And there you shall eat it in the loaves in the basket of consecration, as it has been appointed me, the Lord, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat them. And that which is left of the flesh and of the loaves burn you with fire. And you shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of witness for 7 days, until the day be fulfilled, the day of your consecration. For in 7 days shall he consecrate you, as he did in this day on which the Lord commanded me to do so, to make an atonement for you. And you shall remain 7 days at the door of the tabernacle of witness, day and night. You shall observe the ordinances of the Lord, that you die not, for so has the Lord God commanded me. And Aaron and his sons performed all these commands which the Lord commanded Moses. Chapter 9. And it came to pass on the 8th day, that Moses called Aaron and his sons, and the elders of Israel, and Moses said to Aaron, Take to yourself a young calf of the herd for a sin offering, and a ram for a whole burnt offering, unblemished, and offer them before the Lord. And speak to the elders of Israel, saying, Take 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and a young calf, and a lamb of a year old for a whole burnt offering, spotless, and a calf and a ram for a peace offering before the Lord, and fine flour mingled with oil. For today the Lord will appear among you. And they took as Moses commanded them before the tabernacle of witness, and all the congregation drew near, and they stood before the Lord. And Moses said, This is the thing which the Lord has spoken. Do it, and the glory of the Lord shall appear among you. And Moses said to Aaron, Draw near to the altar, and offer your sin offering, and your whole burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and for your house, and offer the gifts of the people, and make atonement for them, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Aaron drew near to the altar, and killed the calf of his sin offering. And the sons of Aaron brought the blood to him. And he dipped his finger into the blood, and put it on the horns of the altar, and he poured out the blood at the bottom of the altar. And he offered up on the altar the fat and the kidneys and the lobe of the liver of the sin offering, according as the Lord commanded Moses. And the flesh and the hide he burnt with fire outside of the camp. And he killed the whole burnt offering. And the sons of Aaron brought the blood to him, and he poured it on the altar round about. And they brought the whole burnt offering, according to its pieces. Them in the head he put upon the altar. And he washed the belly and the feet with water, and he put them on the whole burnt offering on the altar. And he brought the gift of the people, and took the goat of the sin offering of the people, and killed it, and purified it as also the first. And he brought the whole burnt offering, and offered it in due form. And he brought the sacrifice, and filled his hands with it, and laid it on the altar, besides the morning whole burnt offering. And he killed the calf, and the ram of the sacrifice of peace offering of the people. And the sons of Aaron brought the blood to him, and he poured it out on the altar round about. And he took the fat of the calf, and the hindquarters of the ram, and the fat covering the belly, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat upon them, and the caul on the liver. And he put the fat on the breasts, and offered the fat on the altar. And Aaron separated the breast and the right shoulder as a choice offering before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Aaron lifted up his hands on the people and blessed them. And after he had offered the sin offering, and the whole burnt offerings, and the peace offerings, he came down. And Moses and Aaron entered into the tabernacle of witness. And they came out and blessed all the people. And the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. And fire came forth from the Lord, and devoured the offerings on the altar, both the whole burnt offerings and the fat. And all the people saw, and were amazed, and fell upon their faces. Chapter 10. And the 2 sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abiud, took each his censer, and put fire therein, and threw incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which the Lord did not command them. And fire came forth from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. And Moses said to Aaron, This is the thing which the Lord spoke, saying, I will be sanctified among those who draw near to me, and I will be glorified in the whole congregation. And Aaron was pricked in his heart. And Moses called Misadi and Elisaphan, sons of Oziel, sons of the brother of Aaron's father, and said to them, Draw near and take your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. And they came near and took them in their coats out of the camp, as Moses said. And Moses said to Aaron and Eleazar and Ithamar his sons that were left, You shall not make bare your heads, and you shall not tear your garments, that you die not, and so there should be wrath on all the congregation. But your brethren, even all the house of Israel, shall lament for the burning with which they were burnt by the Lord. And you shall not go forth from the door of the tabernacle of witness, that you die not, for the Lord's anointing oil is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. And the Lord spoke to Aaron, saying, You shall not drink wine nor strong drink, you and your sons with you, whenever you enter into the tabernacle of witness, or when you approach the altar, so shall you not die. It is a perpetual statute for your generations, to distinguish between sacred and profane, and between clean and unclean, and to teach the children of Israel all the statutes, which the Lord spoke to them by Moses. And Moses said to Aaron, and to Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron who survived, Take the sacrifice that is left of the burnt offerings of the Lord, and you shall eat unleavened bread by the altar. It is most holy, and you shall eat it in the holy place. For this is a statute for you and a statute for your sons, of the burnt offerings to the Lord. For so it has been commanded me. And you shall eat the breast of separation, and the shoulder of the choice offering in the holy place, you and your sons and your house with you. For it has been given as an ordinance for you and an ordinance for your sons, of the sacrifices of peace offering of the children of Israel. They shall bring the shoulder of the choice offering, and the breast of the separation upon the burnt offerings of the fat, to separate for a separation before the Lord. And it shall be a perpetual ordinance for you and your sons and your daughters with you, as the Lord commanded Moses. And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, but it had been consumed by fire. And Moses was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar the sons of Aaron that were left, saying, Why did you not eat the sin offering in the holy place? For because it is most holy he has given you this to eat, that you might take away the sin of the congregation, and make atonement for them before the Lord. For the blood of it was not brought into the holy place. You shall eat it within, before the Lord, as the Lord commanded me. And Aaron spoke to Moses, saying, If they have brought near today their sin offerings, and their whole burnt offerings before the Lord, and these events have happened to me, and yet I should eat today of the sin offerings, would it be pleasing to the Lord? And Moses heard it, and it pleased him. Chapter 11. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak you to the sons of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which you shall eat of all beasts that are upon the earth, every beast parting the hoof and making divisions of 2 claws, and chewing the cud among beasts, these you shall eat. But of these you shall not eat, of those that chew the cud, and of those that part the hoofs and divide claws. The camel, because it chews the cud, but does not divide the hoof, this is unclean to you. And the rabbit, because it chews the cud, but does not divide the hoof, this is unclean to you. And the hare, because it does not chew the cud, and does not divide the hoof, this is unclean to you. And the swine, because this animal divides the hoof, and makes claws of the hoof, and it does not chew the cud, is unclean to you. You shall not eat of their flesh, and you shall not touch their carcasses. These are unclean to you. And these are what you shall eat of all that are in the waters. All things that have fins and scales in the waters, and in the seas, and in the brooks, these you shall eat. And all things which have not fins or scales in the water, or in the seas, and in the brooks, of all which the waters produce, and of every soul living in the water, are an abomination. And they shall be abominations to you. You shall not eat of their flesh, and you shall abhor their carcasses. And all things that have not fins or scales of those that are in the waters, these are an abomination to you. And these are the things which you shall abhor of birds. And they shall not be eaten, they are an abomination. The eagle and the ossifrage, and the sea eagle, and the vulture, and the kite, and the like to it, and the sparrow, and the owl, and the cormorant, and the like to it, and every raven, and the birds like it, and the hawk and his like, and the night raven, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the red bill, and the pelican, and swan, and the heron, and the lapwing, and the like to it, and the hoopoe, and the bat, and all winged creatures that creep, which go upon 4 feet, are abominations to you. But these you shall eat of the creeping winged animals, which go upon 4 feet, which have legs above their feet, to leap with on the earth, and these of them you shall eat, the caterpillar and his like, and the attacus and his like, and the cantharus and his like, and the locust and his like. Every creeping thing from among the birds, which has 4 feet, is an abomination to you, and by these you shall be defiled. Every one that touches their carcasses shall be unclean till the evening. And every one that takes of their dead bodies shall wash his garments, and shall be unclean till the evening. And whichever among the beasts divides the hoof and makes claws, and does not chew the cud, shall be unclean to you. Every one that touches their dead bodies shall be unclean till evening. And every one among all the wild beasts that moves upon its 4 feet, which goes on all 4, is unclean to you. Every one that touches their dead bodies shall be unclean till evening. And he that takes of their dead bodies shall wash his garments, and shall be unclean till evening. These are unclean to you. And these are unclean to you of reptiles upon the earth, the weasel, and the mouse, and the lizard, the ferret, and the chameleon, and the ewed, and the newt, and the mole. These are unclean to you of all the reptiles which are on the earth. Every one who touches their carcasses shall be unclean till evening. And on whatever one of their dead bodies shall fall it shall be unclean. Whatever wooden vessel, or garment, or skin, or sack it may be, every vessel in which work should be done, shall be dipped in water, and shall be unclean till evening. And then it shall be clean. And every earthen vessel into which one of these things shall fall, whatever is inside it, shall be unclean, and it shall be broken. And all food that is eaten, on which water shall come from such a vessel, shall be unclean. And every beverage which is drunk in any such vessel shall be unclean. And everything on which there shall fall of their dead bodies shall be unclean. Ovens and stands for jars shall be broken down. These are unclean, and they shall be unclean to you. Only if the water be of fountains of water, or a pool, or confluence of water, it shall be clean. But he that touches their carcasses shall be unclean. And if one of their carcasses should fall upon any sowing seed which shall be sown, it shall be clean. But if water be poured on any seed, and one of their dead bodies fall upon it, it is unclean to you. And if one of the cattle die, which it is lawful for you to eat, he that touches their carcasses shall be unclean till evening. And he that eats of their carcasses shall wash his garments, and be unclean till evening. And he that carries any of their carcasses shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean till evening. And every reptile that creeps on the earth, this shall be an abomination to you. It shall not be eaten. And every animal that creeps on its belly, and every one that goes on 4 feet continually, which abounds with feet among all the reptiles creeping upon the earth, you shall not eat it, for it is an abomination to you. And you shall not defile your souls with any of the reptiles that creep upon the earth, and you shall not be polluted with them, and you shall not be unclean by them. For I am the Lord your God. And you shall be sanctified, and you shall be holy, because I the Lord your God am holy. And you shall not defile your souls with any of the reptiles creeping upon the earth. For I am the Lord who brought you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. And you shall be holy, for I the Lord am holy. This is the law concerning beasts, and birds, and every living creature moving in the water, and every living creature creeping on the earth, to distinguish between the unclean and the clean, and between those that bring forth alive, such as should be eaten, and those that bring forth alive, such as should not be eaten. Chapter 12. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, Whatsoever woman shall have conceived and born a male child shall be unclean 7 days. She shall be unclean according to the days of separation for her monthly courses. And on the 8th day she shall circumcise the flesh of his foreskin. And for 33 days she shall continue in her unclean blood. She shall touch nothing holy, and shall not enter the sanctuary until the days of her purification be fulfilled. But if she should have borne a female child, then she shall be unclean twice 7 days, according to the time of her monthly courses. And for 66 days shall she remain in her unclean blood. And when the days of her purification shall have been fulfilled for a son or a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of a year old without blemish for a whole burnt offering, and a young pigeon or turtle dove for a sin offering to the door of the tabernacle of witness, to the priest. And he shall present it before the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for her, and shall purge her from the fountain of her blood. This is the law of her who bears a male or a female. And if she can't afford a lamb, then shall she take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a whole burnt offering, and one for a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be purified. Chapter 13. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, If any man should have in the skin of his flesh a bright clear spot, and there should be in the skin of his flesh a plague of leprosy, he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons the priests. And the priest shall view the spot in the skin of his flesh. And if the hair in the spot be changed to white, and the appearance of the spot be below the skin of the flesh, it is a plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look upon it, and pronounce him unclean. But if the spot be clear and white in the skin of his flesh, yet the appearance of it be not deep below the skin, and its hair have not changed itself for white hair, but it is dark, then the priest shall separate him that has the spot 7 days. And the priest shall look on the spot the 7th day. And, behold, if the spot remains before him, if the spot has not spread in the skin, then the priest shall separate him the 2nd time 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him the 2nd time on the 7th day. And, behold, if the spot be dark, and the spot have not spread in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean. For it is a mere mark, and the man shall wash his garments and be clean. But if the bright spot should have changed and spread in the skin, after the priest has seen him for the purpose of purifying him, then shall he appear the 2nd time to the priest, and the priest shall look upon him. And, behold, if the mark have spread in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. And if a man have a plague of leprosy, then he shall come to the priest. And the priest shall look, and, behold, if it is a white spot in the skin, and it has changed the hair to white, and there be some of the sound part of the quick flesh in the sore, it is a leprosy waxing old in the skin of the flesh. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall separate him, because he is unclean. And if the leprosy should have come out very evidently in the skin, and the leprosy should cover all the skin of the patient from the head to the feet, wherever the priest shall look, then the priest shall look, and, behold, the leprosy has covered all the skin of the flesh. And the priest shall pronounce him clean of the plague, because it is changed all to white, it is clean. But on whatever day the quick flesh shall appear on him, he shall be pronounced unclean. And the priest shall look upon the sound flesh, and the sound flesh shall prove him to be unclean. For it is unclean, it is a leprosy. But if the sound flesh be restored and changed to white, then shall he come to the priest, and the priest shall see him. And, behold, if the plague is turned white, then the priest shall pronounce the patient clean. He is clean. And if the flesh should have become an ulcer in his skin, and should be healed, and there should be in the place of the ulcer a white sore, or one looking white and bright, or fiery, and it shall be seen by the priest, then the priest shall look, and, behold, if the appearance be beneath the skin, and its hair has changed to white, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, because it is a leprosy, it has broken out in the ulcer. But if the priest look, and behold there is no white hair on it, and it be not below the skin of the flesh, and it be dark colored, then the priest shall separate him 7 days. But if it manifestly spread over the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. It is broken out in the ulcer. But if the bright spot should remain in its place and not spread, it is the scar of the ulcer, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. And if the flesh be in his skin in a state of fiery inflammation, and there should be in his skin the part which is healed of the inflammation, bright, clear, and white, suffused with red or very white, then the priest shall look upon him. And, behold, if the hair being white is changed to a bright color, and its appearance is lower than the skin, it is a leprosy. It has broken out in the inflammation, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. But if the priest should look, and, behold, there is not in the bright spot any white hair, and it should not be lower than the skin, and it should be dark, then the priest shall separate him 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him on the 7th day. And if the spot be much spread in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. It has broken out in the ulcer. But if the bright spot remain stationary, and be not spread in the skin, but the sore should be dark, it is a scar of inflammation. And the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is the mark of the inflammation. And if a man or a woman have in them a plague of leprosy in the head or the beard, then the priest shall look on the plague, and, behold, if the appearance of it be beneath the skin, and in it there be thin yellowish hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a scurf, it is a leprosy of the head or a leprosy of the beard. And if the priest should see the plague of the scurf, and, behold, the appearance of it be not beneath the skin, and there is no yellowish hair in it, then the priest shall set apart him that has the plague of the scurf 7 days. And the priest shall look at the plague on the 7th day. And, behold, if the scurf be not spread, and there be no yellowish hair on it, and the appearance of the scurf is not hollow under the skin, then the skin shall be shaven, but the scurf shall not be shaven. And the priest shall set aside the person having the scurf the 2nd time for 7 days. And the priest shall see the scurf on the 7th day. And, behold, if the scurf is not spread in the skin after the man's being shaved, and the appearance of the scurf is not hollow beneath the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his garments and be clean. But if the scurf be indeed spread in the skin after he has been purified, then the priest shall look, and, behold, if the scurf be spread in the skin, the priest shall not examine concerning the yellow hair, for he is unclean. But if the scurf remain before him in its place, and a dark hair should have arisen in it, the scurf is healed. He is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. And if a man or woman should have in the skin of their flesh spots of a bright whiteness, then the priest shall look, and, behold, there being bright spots of a bright whiteness in the skin of their flesh, it is a tetter. It burst forth in the skin of his flesh. He is clean. And if any one's head should lose the hair, he is only bald, he is clean. And if his head should lose the hair in front, he is forehead bald, he is clean. And if there should be in his baldness of head, or his baldness of forehead, a white or fiery plague, it is leprosy in his baldness of head, or baldness of forehead. And the priest shall look upon him. And, behold, if the appearance of the plague be white or inflamed in his baldness of head or baldness in front, as the appearance of leprosy in the skin of his flesh, he is a leprous man. The priest shall surely pronounce him unclean. His plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, let his garments be ungirt, and his head uncovered. And let him have a covering put upon his mouth, and he shall be called unclean. All the days in which the plague shall be upon him, being unclean, he shall be esteemed unclean. He shall dwell apart, his place of sojourn shall be without the camp. And if a garment have in it the plague of leprosy, a garment of wool, or a garment of flax, either in the warp or in the woof, or in the linen, or in the woolen threads, or in a skin, or in any workmanship of skin, and the plague be greenish or reddish in the skin, or in the garment, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in any utensil of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and he shall show it to the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague. And the priest shall set apart that which has the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look upon the plague on the 7th day. And if the plague be spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof, or in the skin, in whatever things skins may be used in their workmanship, the plague is a confirmed leprosy. It is unclean. He shall burn the garment, either the warp or woof, in woolen garments or in flaxen, or in any utensil of skin, in which there may be the plague, because it is a confirmed leprosy. It shall be burnt with fire. And if the priest should see, and the plague be not spread in the garments, either in the warp or in the woof, or in any utensil of skin, then the priest shall give directions. And one shall wash that on which there may have been the plague, and the priest shall set it aside a second time for 7 days. And the priest shall look upon it after the plague has been washed. And if this, even the plague, has not changed its appearance, and the plague does not spread, it is unclean. It shall be burnt with fire. It is fixed in the garment, in the warp, or in the woof. And if the priest should look, and the spot be dark after it has been washed, he shall tear it off from the garment, either from the warp or from the woof, or from the skin. And if it should still appear in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof, or in any article of skin, it is a leprosy bursting forth. That wherein is the plague shall be burnt with fire. And the garment, or the warp, or the woof, or any article of skin, which shall be washed, and the plague depart from it, shall also be washed again, and shall be clean. This is the law of the plague of leprosy of a woolen or linen garment, either of the warp, or woof, or any leather article, to pronounce it clean or unclean. Chapter 14. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, This is the law of the leper. In whatever day he shall have been cleansed, then shall he be brought to the priest. And the priest shall come forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and, behold, the plague of the leprosy is removed from the leper. And the priest shall give directions. And they shall take for him that is cleansed 2 clean live birds, and cedar wood, and spun scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall give direction. And they shall kill 1 bird over an earthen vessel over running water. And as for the living bird he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the spun scarlet, and the hyssop. And he shall dip them and the living bird into the blood of the bird that was slain over running water. And he shall sprinkle 7 times upon him that was cleansed of his leprosy, and he shall be clean. And he shall let go the living bird into the field. And the man that has been cleansed shall wash his garments, and shall shave off all his hair, and shall wash himself in water, and shall be clean. And after that he shall go into the camp, and shall remain out of his house 7 days. And it shall come to pass on the 7th day, he shall shave off all his hair, his head and his beard, and his eyebrows, even all his hair shall he shave. And he shall wash his garments, and wash his body with water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 lambs without spot of a year old, and 1 ewe lamb without spot of a year old, and 3/10 of fine flour for sacrifice kneaded with oil, and 1 small cup of oil. And the priest that cleanses shall present the man under purification, and these offerings before the Lord, at the door of the tabernacle of witness. And the priest shall take 1 lamb, and offer him for a trespass offering, and the cup of oil, and set them apart for a special offering before the Lord. And they shall kill the lamb in the place where they kill the whole burnt offerings, and the sin offerings in the holy places, for it is a sin offering. As the trespass offering, it belongs to the priest, it is most holy. And the priest shall take of the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall put it on the tip of the right ear of the person under cleansing, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take of the cup of oil, and shall pour it upon his own left hand. And he shall dip with the finger of his right hand into some of the oil that is in his left hand. And he shall sprinkle with his finger 7 times before the Lord. And the remaining oil that is in his hand, the priest shall put on the tip of the right ear of him that is under cleansing, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot, on the place of the blood of the trespass offering. And the remaining oil that is on the hand of the priest shall put on the head of the cleansed leper, and the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. And the priest shall sacrifice the sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for the person under purification to cleanse him from his sin, and afterwards the priest shall kill the whole burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the whole burnt offering, and the sacrifice upon the altar before the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be cleansed. And if he should be poor, and can't afford so much, he shall take 1 lamb for his transgression for a separate offering, so as to make propitiation for him, and a tenth deal of fine flour mingled with oil for a sacrifice, and 1 cup of oil, and 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, as he can afford. And the one shall be for a sin offering, and the other for a whole burnt offering. And he shall bring them on the 8th day, to purify him, to the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of witness before the Lord. And the priest shall take the lamb of the trespass offering, and the cup of oil, and place them for a set offering before the Lord. And he shall kill the lamb of the trespass offering. And the priest shall take of the blood of the trespass offering, and put it on the tip of the right ear of him that is under purification, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall pour of the oil on his own left hand. And the priest shall sprinkle with the finger of his right hand some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. And the priest shall put of the oil that is on his hand on the tip of the right ear of him that is under purification, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot, on the place of the blood of the trespass offering. And that which is left of the oil which is on the hand of the priest he shall put on the head of him that is purged. And the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. And he shall offer 1 of the turtle doves or of the young pigeons, as he can afford it, the one for a sin offering, the other for a whole burnt offering with the meat offering. And the priest shall make an atonement before the Lord for him that is under purification. This is the law for him in whom is the plague of leprosy, and who can afford the offerings for his purification. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Whenever you shall enter into the land of the Canaanites, which I give you for a possession, and I shall put the plague of leprosy in the houses of the land of your possession, then the owner of the house shall come and report to the priest, saying, I have seen as it were a plague in the house. And the priest shall give orders to remove the furniture of the house, before the priest comes in to see the plague. And thus none of the things in the house shall become unclean. And afterwards the priest shall go in to examine the house, and he shall look on the plague, and, behold, if the plague is in the walls of the house, he will see greenish or reddish cavities, and the appearance of them will be beneath the surface of the walls. And the priest shall come out of the house to the door of the house, and the priest shall separate the house 7 days. And the priest shall return on the 7th day and view the house. And, behold, if the plague is spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall give orders, and they shall take away the stones in which the plague is, and shall cast them out of the city into an unclean place. And they shall scrape the house within round about, and shall pour out the dust scraped off outside the city into an unclean place. And they shall take other scraped stones, and put them in the place of the former stones, and they shall take other plaster and plaster the house. And if the plague should return again, and break out in the house after they have taken away the stones, and after the house is scraped, and after it has been plastered, then the priest shall go in and see if the plague is spread in the house. It is a confirmed leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And they shall take down the house, and its timbers and its stones, and they shall carry out all the mortar without the city into an unclean place. And he that goes into the house at any time, during its separation, shall be unclean until evening. And he that sleeps in the house shall wash his garments, and be unclean until evening. And he that eats in the house shall wash his garments, and be unclean until evening. And if the priest shall arrive and enter and see, and behold, the plague be not at all spread in the house after the house has been plastered, then the priest shall declare the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take to purify the house 2 clean living birds, and cedar wood, and spun scarlet, and hyssop. And he shall kill 1 bird in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the spun scarlet, and the hyssop, and the living bird, and shall dip it into the blood of the bird slain over running water, and with them he shall sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall purify the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the spun scarlet. And he shall let the living bird go out of the city into the field, and shall make atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the law concerning every plague of leprosy, and scurf, and of the leprosy of a garment, and of a house, and of a sore, and of a clear spot, and of a shining one, and of declaring in what day it is unclean, and in what day it shall be purged. This is the law of the leprosy. Chapter 15. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, Whatever man shall have an issue out of his body, his issue is unclean. And this is the law of his uncleanness. Whoever has a gonorrhea out of his body, This is his uncleanness in him by reason of the issue, by which his body is affected through the issue. All the days of the issue of his body, by which his body is affected through the issue, there is his uncleanness. Every bed on which he that has the issue shall happen to lie is unclean, and every seat on which he that has the issue may happen to sit shall be unclean. And the man who shall touch his bed shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and shall be unclean till evening. And whoever sits on the seat on which he that has the issue may have sat, shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And he that touches the skin of him that has the issue, shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and shall be unclean till evening. And if he that has the issue should spit upon one that is clean, that person shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until evening. And every ass's saddle, on which the man with the issue shall have mounted, shall be unclean till evening. And every one that touches whatever shall have been under him shall be unclean until evening. And he that takes them up shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And whoever he that has the issue shall touch, if he have not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his garments, and bathe his body in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And the earthen vessel which he that has the issue shall happen to touch shall be broken, and a wooden vessel shall be washed with water, and shall be clean. And if he that has the issue should be cleansed of his issue, then shall he number to himself 7 days for his purification. And he shall wash his garments, and bathe his body in water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to himself 2 turtle-doves or 2 young pigeons. And he shall bring them before the Lord to the doors of the tabernacle of witness, and shall give them to the priest. And the priest shall offer them, one for a sin offering, and the other for a whole burnt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord for his issue. And the man whose seed of copulation shall happen to go forth from him shall then wash his whole body, and shall be unclean until evening. And every garment and every skin on which there shall be the seed of copulation shall both be washed with water, and be unclean until evening. And a woman, if a man shall lie with her with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And the woman whoever shall have an issue of blood, when her issue shall be in her body, shall be 7 days in her separation. Every one that touches her shall be unclean until evening. And everything whereon she shall lie in her separation shall be unclean. And whatever she shall sit upon shall be unclean. And whoever shall touch her bed shall wash his garments, and bathe his body in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And every one that touches any vessel on which she shall sit shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And whether it be while she is on her bed, or on a seat which she may happen to sit upon when he touches her, he shall be unclean till evening. And if any one shall lie with her, and her uncleanness be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And every bed on which he shall have lain shall be unclean. And if a woman have an issue of blood many days, not in the time of her separation, if the blood should also flow after her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean. And every bed on which she shall lie all the days of her flux shall be to her as the bed of her separation. And every seat whereon she shall sit shall be unclean according to the uncleanness of her separation. Every one that touches it shall be unclean. And he shall wash his garments, and bathe his body in water, and shall be unclean till evening. But if she shall be cleansed from her flux, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and afterwards she shall be esteemed clean. And on the 8th day she shall take 2 turtle-doves, or 2 young pigeons, and shall bring them to the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of witness. And the priest shall offer one for a sin offering, and the other for a whole burnt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her before the Lord for her unclean flux. And you shall cause the children of Israel to beware of their uncleannesses, so they shall not die for their uncleanness, in polluting my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of the man who has an issue, and if one discharge seed of copulation, so that he should be polluted by it. And this is the law for her that has the issue of blood in her separation. And as to the person who has an issue of seed in his issue, it is a law for the male and the female, and for the man who shall have lain with her that is set apart. Chapter 16. And the Lord spoke to Moses after the 2 sons of Aaron died in bringing strange fire before the Lord, so they died. And the Lord said to Moses, Speak to Aaron your brother, and let him not come in at all times into the holy place within the veil before the propitiatory, which is upon the ark of the testimony, and he shall not die. For I will appear in a cloud on the propitiatory. Thus shall Aaron enter into the holy place, with a calf of the herd for a sin offering, and having a ram for a whole burnt offering. And he shall put on the consecrated linen tunic, and he shall have on his flesh the linen drawers, and shall gird himself with a linen girdle, and shall put on the linen cap. They are holy garments. And he shall bathe all his body in water, and shall put them on. And he shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats for a sin offering, and 1 lamb for a whole burnt offering. And Aaron shall bring the calf for his own sin offering, and shall make atonement for himself and for his house. And he shall take the 2 goats, and place them before the Lord by the door of the tabernacle of witness. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring forward the goat on which the lot for the Lord fell, and shall offer him for a sin offering. And the goat upon which the lot of the scapegoat came, he shall present alive before the Lord, to make atonement upon him, so as to send him away as a scapegoat, and he shall send him into the wilderness. And Aaron shall bring the calf for his sin, and he shall make atonement for himself and for his house, and he shall kill the calf for his sin offering. And he shall take his censer full of coals of fire off the altar, which is before the Lord. And he shall fill his hands with fine compound incense, and shall bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense on the fire before the Lord. And the smoke of the incense shall cover the mercy seat over the tables of testimony, and he shall not die. And he shall take of the blood of the calf, and sprinkle with his finger on the mercy seat eastward. Before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle 7 times of the blood with his finger. And he shall kill the goat for the sin offering that is for the people, before the Lord. And he shall bring in of its blood within the veil, and shall do with its blood as he did with the blood of the calf, and shall sprinkle its blood on the mercy seat, in front of the mercy seat. And he shall make atonement for the sanctuary on account of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and for their trespasses in the matter of all their sins. And thus shall he do to the tabernacle of witness established among them in the midst of their uncleanness. And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of witness, when he goes in to make atonement in the holy place, until he shall have come out. And he shall make atonement for himself, and for his house, and for all the congregation of the children of Israel. And he shall come forth to the altar that is before the Lord, and he shall make atonement upon it. And he shall take of the blood of the calf, and of the blood of the goat, and shall put it on the horns of the altar round about. And he shall sprinkle some of the blood upon it 7 times with his finger, and shall purge it, and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. And he shall finish making atonement for the sanctuary, and for the tabernacle of witness, and for the altar. And he shall make a cleansing for the priests, and he shall bring the living goat. And Aaron shall lay his hands on the head of the live goat, and he shall declare over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their unrighteousness, and all their sins. And he shall lay them upon the head of the live goat, and shall send him by the hand of a ready man into the wilderness. And the goat shall bear their unrighteousnesses upon him into a desert land. And Aaron shall send away the goat into the wilderness. And Aaron shall enter into the tabernacle of witness, and shall put off the linen garment, which he had put on, as he entered into the holy place, and shall lay it by there. And he shall bathe his body in water in the holy place, and shall put on his raiment, and shall go out and offer the whole burnt offering for himself and the whole burnt offering for the people, and shall make atonement for himself and for his house, and for the people, as for the priests. And he shall offer the fat for the sin offering on the altar. And he that sends forth the goat that has been set apart to be let go shall wash his garments, and bathe his body in water, and afterwards shall enter into the camp. And the calf for the sin offering, and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy place, they shall carry forth out of the camp, and burn them with fire, even their skins and their flesh and their dung. And he that burns them shall wash his garments, and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he shall enter into the camp. And this shall be a perpetual statute for you. In the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall humble your souls, and shall do no work, the native and the stranger who abides among you. For in this day he shall make an atonement for you, to cleanse you from all your sins before the Lord, and you shall be purged. This shall be to you a most holy Sabbath, a rest, and you shall humble your souls. It is a perpetual ordinance. The priest whoever they shall anoint shall make atonement, and whoever they shall consecrate to exercise the priestly office after his father. And he shall put on the linen robe, the holy garment, and he shall make atonement for the most holy place, and the tabernacle of witness. And he shall make atonement for the altar, and for the priests, and he shall make atonement for all the congregation. And this shall be to you a perpetual statute to make atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins. It shall be done once in the year, as the Lord commanded Moses. Chapter 17. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, This is the word which the Lord has commanded, saying, Every man of the children of Israel, or of the strangers dwelling among you, who shall kill a calf, or a sheep, or a goat in the camp, or who shall kill it out of the camp, and shall not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of witness, so as to sacrifice it for a whole burnt offering or peace offering to the Lord to be acceptable for a sweet-smelling savor. And whoever shall kill it without, and shall not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of witness, so as to offer it as a gift to the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, blood shall be imputed to that man, he has shed blood. That soul shall be cut off from his people, that the children of Israel may offer their sacrifices, all that they shall kill in the fields, and bring them to the Lord to the doors of the tabernacle of witness to the priest, and they shall sacrifice them as a peace offering to the Lord. And the priest shall pour the blood on the altar round about before the Lord by the doors of the tabernacle of witness, and shall offer the fat for a sweet-smelling savor to the Lord. And they shall no longer offer their sacrifices to vain gods after which they go a-whoring. It shall be a perpetual statute to you for your generations. And you shall say to them, Whatever man of the children of Israel, or of the sons of the proselytes dwelling among you, shall offer a whole burnt offering or a sacrifice, and shall not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of witness to sacrifice it to the Lord, that man shall be destroyed from among his people. And whatever man of the children of Israel, or of the strangers dwelling among you, shall eat any blood, I will even set my face against that soul that eats blood, and will destroy it from its people. For the life of flesh is its blood, and I have given it to you on the altar to make atonement for your souls, for its blood shall make atonement for the soul. Therefore I said to the children of Israel, No soul of you shall eat blood, and the stranger that abides among you shall not eat blood. And whatever man of the children of Israel, or of the strangers dwelling among you shall take any animal in hunting, beast or bird, which is eaten, then shall he pour out the blood, and cover it in the dust. For the blood of all flesh is its life. And I said to the children of Israel, You shall not eat the blood of any flesh, for the life of all flesh is its blood. Every one that eats it shall be destroyed. And every soul which eats that which has died of itself, or is taken of beasts, either among the natives or among the strangers, shall wash his garments, and bathe himself in water, and shall be unclean until evening. Then shall he be clean. But if he do not wash his garments, and do not bathe his body in water, then shall he bear his iniquity. Chapter 18. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, I am the Lord your God. You shall not do according to the devices of Egypt, in which you lived, and according to the devices of the land of Chanaan, into which I bring you, you shall not do. And you shall not walk in their ordinances. You shall observe my judgments, and shall keep my ordinances, and shall walk in them. I am the Lord your God. So you shall keep all my ordinances, and all my judgments, and do them. Which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord your God. No man shall draw near to any of his near kindred to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, or the nakedness of your mother, for she is your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife. It is your father's nakedness. The nakedness of your sister by your father or by your mother, born at home or abroad, their nakedness you shall not uncover. The nakedness of your son's daughter, or your daughter's daughter, their nakedness you shall not uncover, because it is your nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of the daughter of your father's wife. She is your sister by the same father. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister, for she is near akin to your father. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is near akin to your mother. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother, and you shall not go into his wife, for she is your relation. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your daughter-in-law, for she is your son's wife. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife. It is your brother's nakedness. The nakedness of a woman and her daughter shall you not uncover. Her son's daughter and her daughter's daughter shall you not take to uncover their nakedness, for they are your kinswomen. It is impiety. You shall not take a wife in addition to her sister as a rival to uncover her nakedness in opposition to her while she is yet living. And you shall not go into a woman under separation for her uncleanness, to uncover her nakedness. And you shall not lie with your neighbor's wife, to defile yourself with her. And you shall not give of your seed to serve a ruler. And you shall not profane my holy name. I am the Lord. And you shall not lie with a man as with a woman, for it is an abomination. Neither shall you lie with any quadruped for copulation, to be polluted with it. Neither shall a woman present herself before any quadruped to have connection with it, for it is an abomination. Do not defile yourselves with any of these things, for in all these things the nations are defiled, which I drive out before you, and the land is polluted, and I have recompensed their iniquity to them because of it, and the land is aggrieved with them that dwell upon it. And you shall keep all my statutes and all my ordinances, and you shall do none of these abominations, neither the native, nor the stranger that joins himself with you. For all these abominations the men of the land did who were before you, and the land was defiled, unless the land be aggrieved with you in your polluting it, as it was aggrieved with the nations before you. For whoever shall do any of these abominations, the souls that do them shall be destroyed from among their people. And you shall keep my ordinances, that you may not do any of the abominable practices which have taken place before your time, and you shall not be polluted in them, for I am the Lord your God. Chapter 19. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the congregation of the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, You shall be holy, for I the Lord your God am holy. Let every one of you reverence his father and his mother, and you shall keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. You shall not follow idols, and you shall not make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. And if you will sacrifice a peace offering to the Lord, you shall offer it acceptable from yourselves. And what day soever you shall sacrifice it, it shall be eaten, and on the following day. And if any of it should be left till the third day, it shall be thoroughly burnt with fire. And if it should be at all eaten on the third day, it is unfit for sacrifice. It shall not be accepted. And he that eats it shall bear his iniquity, because he has profaned the holy things of the Lord. And the souls that eat it shall be destroyed from among their people. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not complete the reaping of your field with exactness, and you shall not gather that which falls from your reaping. And you shall not go over the gathering of your vineyard, neither shall you gather the remaining grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. You shall not steal, you shall not lie, neither shall one bear false witness as an informer against his neighbor. And you shall not swear unjustly by my name. And you shall not profane the holy name of your God. I am the Lord your God. You shall not injure your neighbor, neither do you rob him, neither shall the wages of your hireling remain with you until the morning. You shall not revile the deaf, neither shall you put a stumbling block in the way of the blind. And you shall fear the Lord your God. I am the Lord your God. You shall not act unjustly in judgment. You shall not accept the person of the poor, nor admire the person of the mighty. With justice shall you judge your neighbor. You shall not walk deceitfully among your people. You shall not rise up against the blood of your neighbor. I am the Lord your God. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall in any wise rebuke your neighbor, so you shall not bear sin on his account. And your hand shall not avenge you. And you shall not be angry with the children of your people. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. You shall observe my law. You shall not let your cattle gender with one of a different kind. And you shall not sow your vineyard with diverse seed. And you shall not put upon yourself a mingled garment woven of two materials. And if any one lie carnally with a woman, and she should be a home servant kept for a man, and she has not been ransomed, and her freedom has not been given to her, they shall be visited with punishment. But they shall not die, because she was not set at liberty. And he shall bring for his trespass to the Lord to the door of the tabernacle of witness a ram for a trespass offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before the Lord for the sin which he sinned, and the sin which he sinned shall be forgiven him. And whenever you shall enter into the land which the Lord your God gives you, and shall plant any fruit tree, then shall you purge away its uncleanness. Its fruit shall be 3 years uncleansed to you, it shall not be eaten. And in the 4th year all its fruit shall be holy, a subject of praise to the Lord. And in the 5th year you shall eat the fruit, its produce is an increase to you. I am the Lord your God. Eat not on the mountains, nor shall you employ auguries, nor divine by inspection of birds. You shall not make a round cutting of the hair of your head, nor disfigure your beard. And you shall not make cuttings in your body for a dead body, and you shall not inscribe on yourselves any marks. I am the Lord your God. You shall not profane your daughter to prostitute her, so the land shall not go a whoring. and the land be filled with iniquity. You shall keep my Sabbaths, and reverence my sanctuaries. I am the Lord. You shall not attend to those who have in them divining spirits, nor attach yourselves to enchanters, to pollute yourselves with them. I am the Lord your God. You shall rise up before the hoary head, and honor the face of the old man, and shall fear your God. I am the Lord your God. And if there should come to you a stranger in your land, you shall not afflict him. The stranger that comes to you shall be among you as the native, and you shall love him as yourself. For you are strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. You shall not act unrighteously in judgment, in measures and weights and scales. There shall be among you just balances and just weights and just liquid measure. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And you shall keep all my law and all my ordinances, and you shall do them. I am the Lord your God. Chapter 20. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, You shall also say to the children of Israel, if there shall be any of the children of Israel, or of those who have become proselytes in Israel, who shall give of his seed to Moloch, let him be surely put to death. The nation upon the land shall stone him with stones, and I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from his people, because he has given of his seed to Moloch, to defile my sanctuary, and profane the name of them that are consecrated to me. And if the natives of the land should in any way overlook that man in giving of his seed to Moloch, so as not to put him to death, then will I set my face against that man and his family, and I will destroy him, and all who have been of one mind with him, so that he should go a-whoring to the princes from their people. And the soul that shall follow those who have in them divining spirits, or enchanters, so as to go a-whoring after them, I will set my face against that soul, and will destroy it from among its people. And you shall be holy, for I the Lord your God am holy. And you shall observe my ordinances, and do them. I am the Lord that sanctifies you. Every man who shall speak evil of his father or of his mother, let him die the death. As he spoke in evil of his father or his mother, he shall be guilty. Whatever man shall commit adultery with the wife of a man, or whoever shall commit adultery with the wife of his neighbor, let them die the death, the adulterer and the adulteress. And if any one should lie with his father's wife, he has uncovered his father's nakedness. Let them both die the death, they are guilty. And if any one should lie with his daughter-in-law, let them both be put to death. For they have wrought impiety, they are guilty. And whoever shall lie with a male as with a woman, they have both wrought abomination. Let them die the death, they are guilty. Whosoever shall take a woman and her mother, it is iniquity. They shall burn him and them with fire. So there shall not be iniquity among you. And whoever shall lie with a beast, let him die the death. And you shall kill the beast. And whatever woman shall approach any beast, so as to have connection with it, you shall kill the woman and the beast. Let them die the death, they are guilty. Whosoever shall take his sister by his father or by his mother, and shall see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a reproach. They shall be destroyed before the children of their family. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness, they shall bear their sin. And whatever man shall lie with a woman that is set apart for a flux, and shall uncover her nakedness, he has uncovered her fountain, and she has uncovered the flux of her blood. They shall both be destroyed from among their generation. And you shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister, or of the sister of your mother, for that man has uncovered the nakedness of one near akin. They shall bear their iniquity. Whosoever shall lie with his near kinswoman has uncovered the nakedness of one near akin to him. They shall die childless. Whoever shall take his brother's wife, it is uncleanness. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall die childless. And keep you all my ordinances and my judgments, and you shall do them. And the land shall not be aggrieved with you, into which I bring you to dwell upon it. And walk you not in the customs of the nations which I drive out from before you. For they have done all these things, and I have abhorred them. And I said to you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you for a possession, even a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, who have separated you from all people. And you shall make a distinction between the clean and the unclean cattle, and between clean and unclean birds. And you shall not defile your souls with cattle, or with birds, or with any creeping things of the earth, which I have separated for you by reason of uncleanness. And you shall be holy to me, because I the Lord your God am holy, who separated you from all nations to be mine. And as for a man or woman, whoever of them shall have in them a divining spirit, or be an enchanter, let them both die the death. You shall stone them with stones, they are guilty. Chapter 21. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the priests the sons of Aaron, And you shall tell them that they shall not defile themselves in their nation for the dead, but they may mourn for a relative who is very near to them, for a father and mother, and sons and daughters, for a brother, and for a virgin sister that is near to one that is not espoused to a man. For these one shall defile himself. He shall not defile himself suddenly among his people to profane himself. And you shall not shave your head for the dead with a baldness on the top, and they shall not shave their beard, neither shall they make gashes on their flesh. They shall be holy to their God, and they shall not profane the name of their God, for they offer the sacrifices of the Lord as the gifts of their God, and they shall be holy. They shall not take a woman who is a harlot and profaned, or a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy to the Lord his God. And you shall hallow him. He offers the gifts of the Lord your God. He shall be holy, for I the Lord that sanctify them am holy. And if the daughter of a priest should be profaned to go a-whoring, she profanes the name of her father, she shall be burnt with fire. And the priest that is chief among his brethren, the oil having been poured upon the head of the anointed one, and he having been consecrated to put on the garments, shall not take the mitre off his head, and shall not rend his garments, neither shall he go into any dead body, neither shall he defile himself for his father or his mother, and he shall not go forth out of the sanctuary. And he shall not profane the sanctuary of his God, because the holy anointing oil of God is upon him. I am the Lord. He shall take for a wife a virgin of his own tribe, but a widow, or one that is put away, or profaned, or a harlot, these he shall not take. But he shall take for a wife a virgin of his own people, and he shall not profane his seed among his people. I am the Lord that sanctifies him. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Say to Aaron, a man of your tribe throughout your generations, who shall have a blemish on him, shall not draw near to offer the gifts of his God. No man who has a blemish on him shall draw near. A man blind, lame, with his nose disfigured, or his ears cut, a man who has a broken hand or a broken foot, or humpbacked, or blear-eyed, or that has lost his eyelashes, or a man who has a malignant ulcer, or tetter, or one that has lost a testicle. Whoever of the seed of Aaron the priest has a blemish on him, shall not draw near to offer sacrifices to your God, because he has a blemish on him. He shall not draw near to offer the gifts of God. The gifts of God are most holy, and he shall eat of the holy things. Only he shall not approach the veil, and he shall not draw near to the altar, because he has a blemish. And he shall not profane the sanctuary of his God, for I am the Lord that sanctifies them. And Moses spoke to Aaron and his sons, and to all the children of Israel. Chapter 22. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and to his sons, and let them take heed concerning the holy things of the children of Israel, so they shall not profane my holy name in any of the things which they consecrate to me. I am the Lord. Say to them, Every man throughout your generations, whoever of all your seed shall approach to the holy things, whatever the children of Israel shall consecrate to the Lord, while his uncleanness is upon him, that soul shall be cut off from me. I am the Lord your God. And the man of the seed of Aaron the priest, if he should have leprosy or issue of the reins, shall not eat of the holy things until he be cleansed. And he that touches any uncleanness of a dead body, or the man whose seed of copulation shall have gone out from him, or whoever shall touch any unclean reptile, which will defile him, or who shall touch a man, whereby he shall defile him according to all his uncleanness, whatever soul shall touch them shall be unclean until evening. He shall not eat of the holy things, unless he bathe his body in water, and the sun go down, and then he shall be clean. And then shall he eat of all the holy things, for they are his bread. He shall not eat that which dies of itself, or is taken of beasts, so that he should be polluted by them. I am the Lord. And they shall keep my ordinances, that they do not bear iniquity because of them, and die because of them, if they shall profane them. I am the Lord God that sanctifies them. And no stranger shall eat the holy things. One that sojourns with a priest, or a hireling, shall not eat the holy things. But if a priest should have a soul purchased for money, he shall eat of his bread. And they that are born in his house, they also shall eat of his bread. And if the daughter of a priest should marry a stranger, she shall not eat of the offerings of the sanctuary. And if the daughter of priest should be a widow, or put away, and have no seed, she shall return to her father's house, as in her youth. She shall eat of her father's bread, but no stranger shall eat of it. And the man who shall ignorantly eat holy things shall add the 5th part to it, and give the holy thing to the priest. And they shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offered to the Lord. So should they bring upon themselves the iniquity of trespass in their eating their holy things. For I am the Lord that sanctifies them. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons, and to all the congregation of Israel, and you shall say to them, Any man of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that abide among them in Israel, who shall offer his gifts according to all their confession and according to all their choice, whatever they may bring to the Lord for whole burnt offerings. Your freewill offerings shall be males without blemish of the herds, or of the sheep, or of the goats. They shall not bring to the Lord anything that has a blemish in it, for it shall not be acceptable for you. And whatever man shall offer a peace offering to the Lord, discharging a vow, or in the way of freewill offering, or an offering in your feasts, of the herds or of the sheep, it shall be without blemish for acceptance. There shall be no blemish in it. One that is blind, or broken, or has its tongue cut out, or is troubled with warts, or has a malignant ulcer, or tetters, they shall not offer these to the Lord. Neither shall you offer any of them for a burnt offering on the altar of the Lord. And a calf or a sheep with the ears cut off, or that has lost its tail, you shall kill them for yourself. But they shall not be accepted for your vow. That which has broken testicles, or is crushed or jelt or mutilated, you shall not offer them to the Lord, neither shall you sacrifice them upon your land. Neither shall you offer the gifts of your God of all these things by the hand of a stranger, because there is corruption in them, a blemish in them. These shall not be accepted for you. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, As for a calf, or a sheep, or a goat, whenever it is born, then shall it be 7 days under its mother. And on the 8th day and after they shall be accepted for sacrifices, a burnt offering to the Lord. And a bullock and a ewe, it and its young, you shall not kill in 1 day. And if you should offer a sacrifice, a vow of rejoicing to the Lord, you shall offer it so as to be accepted for you. And that same day it shall be eaten. You shall not leave of the flesh till the morrow. I am the Lord. And you shall keep my commandments and do them. And you shall not profane the name of the Holy One, and I will be sanctified in the midst of the children of Israel. I am the Lord that sanctifies you, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. Chapter 23. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, The feasts of the Lord which you shall call holy assemblies, these are my feasts. 6 days shall you do works, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath, a rest, a holy convocation to the Lord. You shall not do any work. It is a Sabbath to the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the feasts to the Lord, holy convocations, which you shall call in their seasons. In the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month, between the evening times is the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of this month is the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. And the 1st day shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall do no servile work. And you shall offer whole burnt offerings to the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall do no servile work. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, When you shall enter into the land which I give you, and reap the harvest of it, then shall you bring a sheaf, the first fruits of your harvest, to the priest. And he shall lift up the sheaf before the Lord, to be accepted for you. On the morrow of the 1st day the priest shall lift it up. And you shall offer on the day on which you bring the sheaf, a lamb without blemish of a year old for a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And its meat offering 2/10 portions of fine flour mingled with oil. It is a sacrifice to the Lord, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord, and its drink offering the 4th part of a hin of wine. And you shall not eat bread, or the new parched corn, until this same day, until you offer the sacrifices to your God. It is a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And you shall number to yourselves from the day after the Sabbath, from the day on which you shall offer the sheaf of the heave offering, 7 full weeks, until the morrow after the last week you shall number 50 days, and shall bring a new meat offering to the Lord. You shall bring from your dwelling loaves, as a heave offering, 2 loaves. They shall be of 2/10 portions of fine flour. They shall be baked with leaven of the first fruits to the Lord. And you shall bring with the loaves 7 unblemished lambs of a year old, and 1 calf of the herd, and 2 rams without blemish, and they shall be a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And their meat offerings and their drink offerings shall be a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And they shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of a year old for a peace offering, with the loaves of the first fruits. And the priest shall place them with the loaves of the first fruits an offering before the Lord with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord. They shall belong to the priest that brings them, and you shall call this day a convocation. It shall be holy to you. You shall do no servile work on it. It is a perpetual ordinance throughout your generations in all your habitations. And when you shall reap the harvest of your land, you shall not fully reap the remainder of the harvest of your field when you reap, and you shall not gather that which falls from your reaping. You shall leave it for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall have a rest, a memorial of trumpets. It shall be to you a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work, and you shall offer a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of this 7th month is a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation to you, and you shall humble your souls, and offer a whole burnt offering to the Lord. You shall do no work on this selfsame day, for this is a day of atonement for you, to make atonement for you before the Lord your God. Every soul that shall not be humbled in that day shall be cut off from among its people, and every soul which shall do work on that day, that soul shall be destroyed from among its people. You shall do no manner of work. It is a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your habitations. It shall be a holy Sabbath to you. And you shall humble your souls from the 9th day of the month. From evening to evening you shall keep your Sabbaths. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of this 7th month, there shall be a feast of tabernacles 7 days to the Lord. And on the 1st day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work. 7 days shall you offer whole burnt offerings to the Lord. And the 8th day shall be a holy convocation to you. And you shall offer whole burnt offerings to the Lord. It is a time of release. You shall do no servile work. These are the feasts to the Lord, which you shall call holy convocations, to offer burnt offerings to the Lord, whole burnt offerings and their meat offerings, and their drink offerings, that for each day on its day, besides the Sabbaths of the Lord, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides your freewill offerings, which you shall give to the Lord. And on the 15th day of this 7th month, when you shall have completely gathered in the fruits of the earth, you shall keep a feast to the Lord 7 days. On the 1st day there shall be a rest, and on the 8th day a rest. And on the 1st day you shall take goodly fruit of trees, and branches of palm trees, and thick boughs of trees, and willows, and branches of osiers from the brook, to rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days in the year. It is a perpetual statute for your generations. In the 7th month you shall keep it. 7 days you shall dwell in tabernacles. Every native in Israel shall dwell in tents, that your posterity may see that I made the children of Israel to dwell in tents when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And Moses recounted the feasts of the Lord to the children of Israel. Chapter 24. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Charge the children of Israel, and let them take for you pure olive oil beaten for the light, to burn a lamp continually outside the veil in the tabernacle of witness. And Aaron and his sons shall burn it from evening until morning before the Lord continually, a perpetual statute throughout your generations. You shall burn the lamps on the pure lampstand before the Lord till the morrow. And you shall take fine flour, and make of it 12 loaves. Each loaf shall be of 2/10 parts. And you shall put them in 2 rows, each row containing 6 loaves, on the pure table before the Lord. And you shall put on each row pure frankincense and salt. And these things shall be for loaves for a memorial, set forth before the Lord. On the Sabbath day they shall be set forth before the Lord continually before the children of Israel, for an everlasting covenant. And they shall be for Aaron and his sons. And they shall eat them in the holy place. For this is their most holy portion of the offerings made to the Lord, a perpetual statute. And there went forth a son of an Israelitish woman, and he was son of an Egyptian man among the sons of Israel. And they fought in the camp, the son of the Israelitish woman, and a man who was an Israelite. And the son of the Israelitish woman named the name and curse. And they brought him to Moses. And his mother's name was Salamith, daughter of Dabri of the tribe of Dan. And they put him in ward, to judge him by the command of the Lord. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Bring forth him that cursed outside the camp. And all who heard shall lay their hands upon his head, and all the congregation shall stone him. And speak to the sons of Israel. And you shall say to them, Whosoever shall curse God shall bear his sin. And he that names the name of the Lord, let him die the death. Let all the congregation of Israel stone him with stones. Whether he be a stranger or a native, let him die for naming the name of the Lord. And whoever shall strike a man and he die, let him die the death. And whoever shall strike a beast, and it shall die, let him render life for life. And whoever shall inflict a blemish on his neighbor, as he has done to him, so shall it be done to himself in return. Bruise for bruise, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As any one may inflict a blemish on a man, so shall it be rendered to him. Whosoever shall strike a man, and he shall die, let him die the death. There shall be one judgment for the stranger and the native, for I am the Lord your God. And Moses spoke to the children of Israel. And they brought him that had cursed out of the camp, and stoned him with stones. And the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses. Chapter 25. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, Whenever you shall have entered into the land, which I give to you, then the land shall rest which I give to you, for its Sabbaths to the Lord. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vine, and gather in its fruit. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath. It shall be a rest to the land, a Sabbath to the Lord. You shall not sow your field, and you shall not prune your vine, and you shall not gather the spontaneous produce of your field, and you shall not gather fully the grapes of your dedication. It shall be a year of rest to the land, and the Sabbaths of the land shall be food for you, and for your manservant, and for your maidservant, and your hireling, and the stranger that abides with you. And for your cattle, and for the wild beasts that are in your land, shall every fruit of it be for food. And you shall reckon to yourself 7 Sabbaths of years, 7 times 7 years. And they shall be to you 7 weeks of years, 49 years. In the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall make a proclamation with the sound of a trumpet in all your land. On the day of atonement you shall make a proclamation with a trumpet in all your land. And you shall sanctify the year, the 50th year, and you shall proclaim a release upon the land to all that inhabit it. It shall be given a year of release, a jubilee for you, and each one shall depart to his possession, and you shall go each to his family. This is a jubilee of release. The year shall be to you the 50th year. You shall not sow, nor reap the produce that comes of itself from the land, neither shall you gather its dedicated fruits, for it is a jubilee of release. It shall be holy to you. You shall eat its fruits off the fields. In the year of the release, even the jubilee of it, shall each one return to his possession. And if you should sell a possession to your neighbor, or if you should buy of your neighbor, let not a man oppress his neighbor. According to the number of years after the jubilee shall you buy of your neighbor. According to the number of years of the fruits shall he sell to you. According as there may be a greater number of years he shall increase the value of his possession. And according as there may be a less number of years he shall lessen the value of his possession. For according to the number of his crops, so shall he sell to you. Let not a man oppress his neighbor, and you shall fear the Lord your God. I am the Lord your God. And you shall keep all my ordinances, and all my judgments, and do you observe them, and you shall keep them, and dwell securely in the land. And the land shall yield her increase, and you shall eat to fullness, and shall dwell securely in it. And if you should say, What shall we eat in this 7th year, if we do not sow nor gather in our fruits? Then will I send my blessing upon you in the 6th year, and the land shall produce its fruits for 3 years. And you shall sow in the 8th year, and eat old fruits till the 9th year. Until its fruit come, you shall eat old fruits of the old, and the land shall not be sold for a permanence. For the land is mine, because you are strangers and sojourners before me. And in every land of your possession you shall allow ransoms for the land. And if your brother who is with you be poor, and should have sold part of his possession, and his kinsman who is near to him come, then he shall redeem the possession which his brother has sold. And if one have no near kinsman, and he prosper with his hand, and he find sufficient money, even his ransom, then shall he calculate the years of his sale, and he shall give what is due to the man to whom he sold it, and he shall return to his possession. But if his hand have not prospered sufficiently, so as that he should restore the money to him, then he that bought the possessions shall have them till the 6th year of the release, and it shall go out in the release, and the owner shall return to his possession. And if any one should sell an inhabited house in a walled city, then there shall be the ransom of it until the time is fulfilled. Its time of ransom shall be a full year. And if it be not ransomed until there be completed of its time a full year, the house which is in the walled city shall be surely confirmed to him that bought it throughout his generations. And it shall not go out in the release. But the houses in the villages which have not a wall round about them shall be reckoned as the fields of the country. They shall always be redeemable, and they shall go out in the release. And the cities of the Levites, the houses of the cities in their possession, shall be always redeemable to the Levites. And if any one shall redeem a house of the Levites, then shall their sale of the houses of their possession go out in the release. because the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession in the midst of the children of Israel, and the land set apart for their cities shall not be sold, because this is their perpetual possession. And if your brother who is with you become poor, and he fail in resources with you, you shall help him as a stranger and a sojourner, and your brother shall live with you. You shall not receive from him interest, nor increase, and you shall fear your God. I am the Lord, and your brother shall live with you. You shall not lend your money to him at interest, and you shall not lend your meat to him to be returned with increase. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, so as to be your God. And if your brother by you be lowered, and be sold to you, he shall not serve you with the servitude of a slave. He shall be with you as a hireling or a sojourner. He shall work for you till the year of release. And he shall go out in the release, and his children with him. And he shall go to his family. He shall hasten back to his patrimony, because these are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. Such an one shall not be sold as a common servant. You shall not oppress him with labor, and shall fear the Lord your God. And whatever number of menservants and maidservants you shall have, you shall purchase male and female servants from the nations that are round about you. And of the sons of the sojourners that are among you, of these you shall buy, and of their relations, all that shall be in your lands, let them be to you for a possession. And you shall distribute them to your children after you, and they shall be to you permanent possessions forever. But of your brethren the children of Israel, one shall not oppress his brother in labors. And if a stranger or sojourner with you wax rich, and your brother in distress be sold to the stranger or the sojourner that is with you, or to a proselyte by extraction, after he is sold to him there shall be redemption for him. One of his brethren shall redeem him. A brother of his father, or a son of his father's brother shall redeem him. Or let one of his near kin of his tribe redeem him. And if he should be rich and redeem himself, then shall he calculate with his purchaser from the year that he sold himself to him until the year of release. And the money of his purchase shall be as that of a hireling. He shall be with him from year to year. And if any have a greater number of years than enough, according to these he shall pay his ransom out of his purchase money. And if but a little time be left of the years to the year of release, then shall he reckon to him according to his years, and shall pay his ransom as a hireling. He shall be with him from year to year. You shall not oppress him with labor before you. And if he do not pay his ransom accordingly, he shall go out in the year of his release, he and his children with him. For the children of Israel are my servants. They are my attendants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. Chapter 26. I am the Lord your God. You shall not make to yourselves gods made with hands, or graven. Neither shall you rear up a pillar for yourselves. Neither shall you set up a stone for an object in your land to worship it. I am the Lord your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths, and reverence my sanctuaries. I am the Lord. If you will walk in my ordinances, and keep my commandments, and do them, then will I give you the rain in its season, and the land shall produce its fruits, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit, and your threshing time shall overtake the vintage, and your vintage shall overtake your seed time. And you shall eat your bread to the full, and you shall dwell safely upon your land, and war shall not go through your land, and I will give peace in your land. And you shall sleep, and none shall make you afraid. And I will destroy the evil beasts out of your land. And you shall pursue your enemies, and they shall fall before you with slaughter. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase tens of thousands. And your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. And I will look upon you, and increase you, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. And you shall eat that which is old and very old, and bring forth the old to make way for the new. And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, where you were slaves. And I broke the band of your yoke, and brought you forth openly. But if you will not listen to me, nor obey these my ordinances, but disobey them, and your soul should loathe my judgments, so that you should not keep all my commands, so as to break my covenant, then will I do thus to you. I will even bring upon you perplexity, and the itch, and the fever that causes your eyes to waste away, and disease that consumes your life. And you shall sow your seeds in vain, and your enemies shall eat them. And I will set my face against you, and you shall fall before your enemies, and they that hate you shall pursue you. And you shall flee, no one pursuing you. And if you still refuse to listen to me, then will I chasten you yet more, even 7 times for your sins. And I will break down the haughtiness of your pride. And I will make your heaven iron, and your earth as it were brass, and your strength shall be in vain. and your land shall not yield its seed, and the tree of your field shall not yield its fruit. And if after this you should walk perversely, and not be willing to obey me, I will further bring upon you 7 plagues according to your sins. And I will send upon you the wild beasts of the land, and they shall devour you, and shall consume your cattle. And I will make you few in number, and your ways shall be desolate. And if hereupon you are not corrected, but walk perversely towards me, I also will walk with you with a perverse spirit, and I also will strike you 7 times for your sins. And I will bring upon you a sword avenging the cause of my covenant, and you shall flee for refuge to your cities. And I will send out death against you, and you shall be delivered into the hands of your enemies. When I afflict you with famine of bread, then 10 women shall bake your loaves in one oven, and they shall render your loaves by weight. And you shall eat, and not be satisfied. And if hereupon you will not obey me, but walk perversely towards me, then will I walk with you with a froward mind, and I will chasten you 7-fold according to your sins. And you shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall you eat. And I will render your pillars desolate, and will utterly destroy your wooden images made with hands. And I will lay your carcasses on the carcasses of your idols, and my soul shall loathe you. And I will lay your cities waste, and I will make your sanctuaries desolate, and I will not smell the savor of your sacrifices. And I will lay your land desolate, and your enemies who dwell in it shall wonder at it. And I will scatter you among the nations, and the sword shall come upon you and consume you. And your land shall be desolate, and your cities shall be desolate. Then the land shall enjoy its Sabbaths all the days of its desolation, and you shall be in the land of your enemies. Then the land shall keep its Sabbaths, and the land shall enjoy its Sabbaths all the days of its desolation. It shall keep Sabbaths which it kept not among your Sabbaths, when you lived in it. And to those who are left of you I will bring bondage into their heart in the land of their enemies. And the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from war, and shall fall when none pursues them. And brother shall disregard brother as in war, when none pursues. And you shall not be able to withstand your enemies, and you shall perish among the Gentiles, and the land of your enemies shall devour you. And those who are left of you shall perish, because of their sins, and because of the sins of their fathers. In the land of their enemies shall they consume away, and they shall confess their sins, and the sins of their fathers, that they have transgressed and neglected me, and that they have walked perversely before me, and I walked with them with a perverse mind. And I will destroy them in the land of their enemies. Then shall their uncircumcised heart be ashamed, and then shall they acquiesce in the punishment of their sins. And I will remember the covenant of Jacob, and the covenant of Isaac, and the covenant of Abraham will I remember. And I will remember the land, and the land shall be left of them. Then the land shall enjoy her Sabbaths, when it is deserted through them. And they shall accept the punishment of their iniquities, because they neglected my judgments, and in their soul loathed my ordinances. And yet not even thus, while they were in the land of their enemies, did I overlook them, nor did I loathe them so as to consume them, to break my covenant made with them. For I am the Lord their God, and I will remember their former covenant, when I brought them out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage before the nation, to be their God. I am the Lord. These are my judgments and my ordinances, and the law which the Lord gave between himself and the children of Israel in the Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. Chapter 27. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, Whosoever shall vow a vow as the valuation of his soul for the Lord. The valuation of a male from 20 years old to 60 years old shall be his valuation, shall be 50 didrachmas of silver by the standard of the sanctuary. And the valuation of a female shall be 30 didrachmas. And if it be from 5 years old to 20, the valuation of a male shall be 20 didrachmas, and of a female 10 didrachmas. And from a month old to 5 years old, the valuation of a male shall be 5 didrachmas, and of a female 3 didrachmas of silver. And if from 60-year-old and upward, if it be a male, his valuation shall be 15 didrachmas of silver, and if a female 10 didrachmas. And if the man be too poor for the valuation, he shall stand before the priest, and the priest shall value him. According to what the man who has vowed can afford, the priest shall value him. And if it be from the cattle that are offered as a gift to the Lord, whoever shall offer one of these to the Lord, it shall be holy. He shall not change it, a good for a bad, or a bad for a good. And if he do at all change it, a beast for a beast, it and the substitute shall be holy. And if it be any unclean beast, of which none are offered as a gift to the Lord, he shall set the beast before the priest, and the priest shall make a valuation between the good and the bad. and accordingly as the priest shall value it, so shall it stand. And if the worshipper will at all redeem it, he shall add the fifth part to its value. And whatever man shall consecrate his house as holy to the Lord, the priest shall make a valuation of it between the good and the bad. As the priest shall value it, so shall it stand. And if he that has sanctified it should redeem his house, he shall add to it the fifth part of the money of the valuation, and it shall be his. And if a man should hallow to the Lord a part of the field of his possession, then the valuation shall be according to its seed, 50 didrachmas of silver for a homer of barley. And if he should sanctify his field from the year of release, it shall stand according to his valuation. And if he should sanctify his field in the latter time after the release, the priest shall reckon to him the money for the remaining years, until the next year of release, and it shall be deducted as an equivalent from his full valuation. And if he that sanctified the field would redeem it, he shall add to its value the fifth part of the money, and it shall be his. And if he do not redeem the field, but should sell the field to another man, he shall not after redeem it. But the field shall be holy to the Lord after the release, as separated land. The priest shall have possession of it. And if he should consecrate to the Lord of a field which he has bought, which is not of the field of his possession, the priest shall reckon to him the full valuation from the year of release, and he shall pay the valuation in that day as holy to the Lord. And in the year of release the land shall be restored to the man of whom the other bought it, whose the possession of the land was. And every valuation shall be by holy weights. The didrachm shall be 20 abali. And every firstborn which shall be produced among your cattle shall be the Lord's, and no man shall sanctify it. Whether calf or sheep, it is the Lord's. But if he should redeem an unclean beast, according to its valuation, then he shall add the fifth part to it, and it shall be his. And if he redeem it not, it shall be sold according to its valuation. And every dedicated thing which a man shall dedicate to the Lord of all that he has, whether man or beast, or of the field of his possession, he shall not sell it, nor redeem it. Every devoted thing shall be most holy to the Lord. And whatever shall be dedicated of men shall not be ransomed, but shall be surely put to death. Every tithe of the land, both of the seed of the land, and of the fruit of trees, is the Lord's, holy to the Lord. And if a man should at all redeem his tithe, he shall add the fifth part to it, and it shall be his. And every tithe of oxen, and of sheep, and whatever may come in numbering under the rod, the tenth shall be holy to the Lord. You shall not change a good for a bad, or a bad for a good. And if you should at all change it, its equivalent also shall be holy, it shall not be redeemed. These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the sons of Israel in Mount Sinai.